I've heard Stefan talk about not shying down from showing/using your intellect, not making yourself look smaller as the metaphorical tall guy, since it's lying to yourself and not using your gift to a full potential. But from my experience, nothing good ever came from showing my intellect to my peers or teachers. It always came down to them belittling me, or in some cases, extreme bullying. Which leads to me trying to fit in with the other kids, i.e. not getting the grades I could, not talking about the things I'd like to, etc., etc. Which led to me not being willing or able to go to school anymore because of extreme depression at a very young age. My question would be, if intelligence is something that pushed our society out of the muck, why does it feel more like a curse than a gift? That's from Kevin.
Hey, Kevin. How you doing tonight?
I'm pretty nervous, but yeah, I'm doing all right.
Well, thanks for your patience. I know that last call was...
Oh, it was super interesting.
Good. All right. Right. So, give me an example of a vivid thing that happened when you showed your intellect and got bullied.
Well, I think the one I go back to the most in memories is when I was like in second grade. I skipped first grade and I got into school really early. Like normally in Germany here, you go into school at 6 years old. And since I was born at the end of the year, it's already like you get pushed forward into the next semester. So I was in school at 5. They noticed I was ahead of the first year semester already. So they put me into second grade at the immediate beginning. And I was good at math, reading everything on a level that they told me was third and fourth grade, and higher than that after a while. And I had this teacher that she, I guess I don't know what she was. I keep thinking back to it. Maybe she just didn't know how to handle me, or I don't know. Maybe she was like an elementary teacher that never had to worry about kids talking back to her or whatever. But I remember vividly we had an essay, and we were supposed to talk about our favorite things, shit like that, right? And oh wait, is it okay if I curse?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I wrote about like my favorite things, obviously, but I guess she was expecting something else. When I read it to her, and I can't remember exactly what was in it. It's so long ago, but she took me to the principal, and she called my mother, and it went into this like whole tirade about how she cannot have me in class, and it was actually like it was scarring for life because I didn't know what I was doing wrong, and nobody told me to this day, because my mom can't really remember what either. She just remembers what there was a big problem about it, and it stayed for like a couple of weeks and was kept bringing up by the teachers. And I don't know.
But you don't know what you did or what you said?
No, I remember like I told them about my it's really like it's foggy. I remember only like the way I felt about it and what they told me about it, but I don't really remember what I did. No.
That's very Kafka-esque, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever read, was it The Trial? I mean, you've ever read this, Joseph K. gets caught into this bureaucratic hellhole with no idea what the hell he did. No one will tell him. And anyway. Right. And you were out of school for a couple of weeks, is that right?
Yeah, I got took out of school for 2 weeks while they were, I guess, processing what to do with me.
But your mom doesn't remember?
Well, the thing is, we talk about this often, as you can imagine, and she always brings up that it was nothing like nothing, let's say, disturbing. I didn't talk about anything like fucked up. It was just like, I guess they didn't know how to deal with the way I presented it. I keep remembering like she was like I was fucking with her, like I was fucking with the teachers, right? Like if you're playing a prank on someone, you know the expression that happens, like as they figure out like what the fuck is going on, right?
Yeah.
I remember that, and I guess it was so strong for them that they had to make this whole big ideal out of it that I genuinely didn't know what the fuck was going on, right? Like that's the only thing I can remember about it. It's been so long, and
And you were 5 or 6, you said?
Yeah, around that,
Huh.
like 5.5-ish.
So at that age, it's hard to imagine that you would be punished in that way
Yeah,
for whatever happened, because you're barely out of toddlerhood.
yeah, exactly.
All right. And was that tough when you went back into school? Like the other kids are like, whoa, that's the kid who...
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean,
That's the German kid who broke a rule.
yeah.
Next thing you know, we're heading to
No,
Poland. Okay, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it wasn't nice. I mean, obviously, when you go into school and you're already the guy that skipped a grade the first time he goes to school, you're already like apart from the crowd. And then you leave for 2 weeks, and probably the teachers told them about me. I mean, I would imagine they did, right? And yeah, school was fucking hell my entire life. I guess it wasn't a good start.
Right. Now, that's something where it was not your intellect that you know of that brought this punishment. What's about another time where the intellect caused you trouble?
Well, I guess comparing it to my peers, the teachers, they were kind of like, obviously the teachers didn't go and parade about or were mean to me when I got good grades or something like that. But the students were, I mean, it was hell. Like when and in Germany, I don't know if it's like that in other countries, but when you get good grades, all the grades of everyone get called out, right? And obviously, when you're always having A's, or like I didn't always have A's in some stuff. For example, I was always bad at sports and shit like that. But yeah, when you get called out like that, after a while, I mean, the kids get, I guess, envious or like mad, or I don't know. I always was the runt when it came to that shit. Like they paraded me like, oh, the geek get it again, right? Like nobody wanted to be the friend with the guy that always had it, right? That's how.
Weren't there other like-minded kids you could hang with?
Yeah, sadly not in my first couple of years. Later in school, there was this one girl that she was really, really smart and really nice, and we bonded over that. And she was like a best friend for a while, but no, not in my earlier years.
Yeah. Bruce and I were just tossed in the art room. These kids are really smart. They like to read. They like to discuss. They like to debate. Can't really handle them in the main class. We'll toss them in the art room, though, with a pile of books and ask for some book reviews later. That was the big solution where I was. No, and when I first came to Toronto and in school, a wonderful boy, Mark his name was, and I mentioned this before, we used to walk around and just chat and have great conversations and so on. Then he just died. Just died.
Oh, wow.
He just died of some congenital heart defect nobody knew about, just didn't wake up one morning, just dead. It's like a guy I was friends with when I worked up north. Guy's jogging along, he's going to be married that summer, he's jogging along a dark road, gets smashed by a car and dies. Wow. I got some gravestones floating around. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, so did they give you any kind of advanced courses or anything like that?
Oh yeah, but sadly, when you're in elementary school, advanced courses were just more of the same. I always had teachers, especially in math, coming to me, and since I was like done with the work almost like instantly after they gave it to me, the way of them, I guess, giving me more input was just giving me more of the same shit they have given me before, but in different variables, like pretty much the same questions, but asked differently, right? That was advanced courses, yeah.
Now, quick question, my friend. Was it a lot of female teachers?
Oh yeah. All of my teachers except one, and that's the only one I liked, were female. Yeah.
Now, how do you think I knew that?
Yeah, I mean, tell me about it. I that's the first thing I always think about when it comes to that back then.
How do you think I knew that?
I mean, the way I think about it is that I guess females don't. From my experience, female teachers didn't really know how to deal with anything apart from the main course of students. They didn't know how to deal with the ones performing lesser, and they didn't know to do what the ones performing better than the average.
The price of endlessly appealing to female vanity is anti-male sentiment.
Yeah.
Because what needs to be told to women, if you respect women, is the truth. That there's going to be very few exceptional women compared to men.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, if you look at I don't know, do you play chess at all?
I played, I played it when I was younger, but I kind of got my fill after. It's a long story. Yeah, I did.
So I think except for one exception, the top female chess player is somewhere around the 500th male chess player. I went through this whole thing in the Serena Williams presentation, which people should check out. I know the topic has come and gone, but there's a lot in there that's kind of timeless. Just about how terrible female athletes are compared to males. Terrible. Terrible. The only reason there are female athletic events, really, I mean, that are paid and that are top tier and so on, is because they don't compete with men. Now, except in shooting, right? And some people have said a little bit of horseback riding and some long distance, like ultra long distance running, like 200 miles. Like, yeah, that's a fun sporting event. Still running, still running, still running. But there are no women who come anywhere close, who come anywhere close to men. One of the top tiered female players was saying that, oh yeah, her brother, who was like a low-ranked college tennis player, just beat her like 6-0, 6-0. Like there was never any competition. And that's when he wasn't even really trying that much. So, and the funny thing is the one thing that women do absolutely amazingly, incredibly, that men can't do, is the one thing that is denigrated these days, at least among white women, and that would be having the babies. One thing women can do, men can't do. And so when we don't tell the truth to women about men and ability, they get mad and they're perpetually discontented. They believe in this magical patriarchy that keeps them from the highest positions. It's like, no, it's just nature. It's just biology. It's just the way the bell curve works. And it's going to be that way for the foreseeable future. And the reason I talk about this stuff is because I want women to be happy. I want women to be happy. And the way that they've set the system up at the moment, it's designed, almost like designed, to perpetually frustrate women and make them resentful and mad and discontented and resentful. You're exactly the same as men. The only reason you're not the male sexism. Oh, you should go and get educated. Then you should have a big, long-ass career. And then, if you want kids, you'll just pick up from the big, giant target heap of eligible bachelors worth $1 million in your 30s. Like you couldn't set a system up that's going to make women less happy. So you stop telling women the truth. You got to lock down a quality guy early because they get taken really quickly and they get hung on to like grim death. I'm not going out into the dating pool. So you got to lock down a guy early when you're at the height of your sexual power, your height of your sexual market value. That's when you got to lock a guy down. Have kids when you're young. You've got plenty of time to have a career later on. You can work till you're 80 if you want, because you're probably going to live 7 to 10 years longer than your husband or boyfriend. So you just got to tell women the truth. It's not male sexism that keeps you from the highest positions on average. It's just the genetic spread of intelligence. It's probably genetic. 85% of our intelligence is genetic. In our late teens, it's probably pretty genetic. Let's just go with that assumption, because it doesn't really matter either way. We have what we have, right? So just tell women the truth and they won't keep getting mad all the time. Of course, right? If I thought that there was some magical power that was keeping me from achieving my full potential. Oh, wait, actually, that would be social media companies. Well, okay, that's a different matter. They definitely are prejudiced. But so when a female teacher comes across a brilliant male student, a lot of time, and we know that female teachers are prejudiced against male students. We know for sure, because when you gender neutral essays and so on, the boys score significantly higher than if they know that it's a boy, the female teacher. So female teachers It's one of the few instances and clear-cut cases of rampant, massive sexism against children, against little boys. Female teachers, on average, are rampantly, rabidly, ferociously, and brutally sexist against little boys. And part of that is because people just aren't telling them the truth. Yeah, you're going to get a couple of dullards in your class who are boys, and you're going to get some magic carpet geniuses in your class who are boys. It's just the way the scattergram works. So that's one of the reasons I don't want women to be mad all the time. I don't want them to end up not getting what they want in life. I don't want them to end up thinking that they're going to get to the very top tier of everything and bypass all of the other great things that they could be doing, like building communities and having families and being moms and being great support people. And there will be some brilliant women who are going to do, the woman who influenced me the most the philosopher who influenced me most was a woman. So I've got no problem with massive, wonderful, staggering female achievement. Oddly enough, women do, because it was Ayn Rand, who apparently women just hate. But I just wanted to put that little bit of rant in here before we get on to more of the substance of your question, because you were subject to, probably, most likely, almost certainly, statistically, you were subject to rampant anti-boy sexism coming from feminist indoctrinated teachers, and it is brutal to experience.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. So, Kevin, one rant shall follow another. And this is going to be the rant that releases you from resentment. Are you ready?
Right. Yeah, I'm ready.
Got your crash helmet on?
Yeah, I'm ready. Got the rubber gloves, everything.
All right. Oil those babies up. All right. Here is, because, I'm a smart guy. I deal with a lot of averages. Do you see me getting overly resentful? No, and I'll tell you why. The world is designed for the average. You understand, right? You ever see a really tall guy trying to fold himself into a airplane seat or just go through a door? He's got some truly insane Robert Walpole kind of guy who's got to duck his head to get through stuff, right? The world is not designed for him. He can kind of get through it, but it's not designed for him. Right? Any more than it's designed for a guy who's 4 feet tall. Again, he can get by, he gets a lot of legroom on a plane, but the world is designed for the average, right? We can accept that, right?
Right.
So you're just not going to fit, right? You're just not going to fit. Now, I don't think that means it's fine to abuse you, but the world is designed for the average, and you are not the average. Nobody who listens to this show is the average. So, let me tell you how to love this situation. When the world is designed for you, do you want other people to change it?
Well, no, of course.
No, of course not. If you are an average height, you don't want the airplane seats calibrated for people who are 4 feet tall, right? Because it's going to be really crampy for you.
Right.
So when the world is designed for you, you don't want people messing with it, right?
Right.
What are you going to do with the world, Kevin? You're going to mess with it, right? You want to change it, right?
Right, but
you want to change it so you have a little bit more scope, so you have a little bit more room, so you get a little respect. It wasn't your fault that you're born smart. You shouldn't be blamed for it. You shouldn't be attacked from it. You shouldn't be dismissed. You should be called a nerd. All the people are shitty little kids, texting, Kevin the nerd. It's like, yeah, that's right. Who built the shit you're texting on, people? That's right. People like Kevin. So it's pitiful, right? But the world is designed for the average, and you want to come and fuck with the average, right?
Right.
Do they want you to do that?
Well, of course not.
Right. And if you were in their average shoes, you wouldn't want you to mess with it either, right?
No.
So now we have something where we understand the opposition. It's not that they're just blind and stupid and ignorant and aggressive. Hey, the world is made just for them. They got custom shoes just for them. And they don't want your Steve Martin Cruel shoes going on their hands, right? They don't want the world to adapt to you because it's already adapted to them. So now you're in a game rather than a battle. It's like sports. You don't want to kill the other team, but you want to beat them, right?
Right.
So if you look at it more like, okay, world's built for you. I get it. I want to wedge my way in there and adapt it for people like me. No, you can't do that. It's built for us. It's like, yeah, well, I don't care that you're not flexible, but things are going to change. Things are going to change because it's not fair that the world is just built for you. Because there's a lot of people like me around too, right?
Right.
And smart people are a minority. Often we're a visible minority because we come with pocket protectors and horn-rimmed glasses and physical non-dexterity, lack of sports skills, lack of facial hair, right? So smart people are often a visible minority. And like blacks in America who said, this slavery, Jim Crow, segregation bullshit, that's terrible. You're going to need to adjust your society to make room for us, right? Absolutely fair. Couldn't agree more. Now, okay, let's not do the whole affirmative action shit and I'm terrible and all that. But, you got to adjust so that I can get a drink on a hot day from a fountain. So I can go to the washroom. I mean, read Black Like Me. It's a story of a guy who made himself into dark skin and traveled through the South. He spends half the day wandering the streets of Memphis trying to find a toilet he can use because they're all only for whites. That's not right. So the visible minority called blacks came and engaged and said, things got to change. You got to adjust your society so we got some room here. Fantastic. Love it. It was wrong that it was ever any other way. Now, of course, they were like, well, all of these things that I talked about, slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, all government programs. All government programs. So now replacing it with another government program called affirmative action. That's terrible. But we got to think of ourselves, okay, this is a civil rights issue in a way. Because we're a visible minority called smart people, and society's got to bend and adjust to accommodate us just a little bit. Not least of which because we run society. We are responsible for civilization. We build everything. We make everything. We make everything work. We're responsible for your freedoms, for the free market, for the separation of church and state, for cell phones, for engineering miracles, for bridges, for dams, for buildings, for elevators that don't go sideways and crash out the building. I mean, we make everything run. Can a brother with a big brain get a little bit of elbow room? Please. And they're like, no, we don't want to adjust to you. It's like, well, you're going to have to, you prejudicial bastards, because we ain't going anywhere. Or if we do go places, well, it's South Africa 5 years from now when everybody's trying to eat tree bark.
Oh, God.
So do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, for sure.
It's perfectly reasonable for the average to design the world for the average and for the average to resent the smart. In the same way, it's natural for the smart to resent the average. But if you view it like a sports game rather than some combat, you can have a lot more fun with it. Of course, they're going to push back. Of course, they don't want to change. And the average, everyone's a superhero in his own mind, right? Everyone is everyone is the best. Everyone is singular. Everyone is amazing. Everybody is unique. We're all special snowflakes, right?
Right.
Until you come across somebody with real ability. I'll tell you my moment. There was a singer, he died quite young, Robert Palmer. You're going to have to face it, you're addicted to love. I don't know if you remember this, probably before your time, but
yeah,
he's a good singer, a good performer and all that. Shut your eyes, shut the shade, you don't have to be afraid. I'll be your baby tonight. It's a lovely, you should look him up, it's a great singer. Anyway, so I'm like, I don't know, 17 years old, and I talked my way into some karaoke bar. It's the first time I did it, and I'm like, oh, I like that song, Addicted to Love. I think I'll go and sing it. You ever tried this with karaoke or something?
Yeah, sadly I did, and I'm not very good.
It must be amazing, I think of like people who are just incredible singers, like Freddie Mercury, Billy Joel, Sting, like people who just like they open their mouth and without training and stuff, Celine Dion, like they just, I mean, the opera guys, like they train and there's, that whole thing and they learn all these languages. But the people who just open their mouth, like it must have been like they're in the car, they're singing along with the radio and people are like, damn, Sammy Hagar, that sounds pretty good. Like it must be at some point where they say, holy shit, I can do it. Woohoo. But, so I go up there and I'm trying to sing this song, Addicted to Love. And I'm, amateur baritone guy. And this is like tenor and it's like, gets pretty high, oh, mine. And I'm like, holy crap. That's why those guys get paid. That's why I'm buying drinks and annoying people with my singing. And they get paid good money for it. And I can do a couple of songs all right. I can do Superstition pretty well. I can do New York State of Mind. If they take it down a little bit, I can do an okay Unchained Melody. There's a couple of things that, but pretty limited. I don't have one of these voices that can do everything. But so, everyone's a great singer in the shower, but you get up there with the backup in karaoke and it's like, ooh, Daddy's leaving a sonic mark on the souls of the people around him and it's pretty black. And so then you're like, well, I guess I'm not that good, right? And so everyone's a superhero and everyone's like, you hear this on the show all the time. Like people call in, like that guy who called in to tell me I was wrong about separation of church and state. That guy's the big fish in the little pond. He's the smartest guy around the table just about everywhere he goes, right? Or certainly the fastest talking, like the Peter Joseph pufferfish ego stuff, right? But then you bump up against somebody who's really smart and really experienced, and it's like, boom. I mean, you saw this with Paddy Gower in New Zealand, right? He's like this media guy, whatever, or the other people who tried to interview us, Lauren and I, it's like, a fragile leaf meet forces of nature. It's like the limitations, like you bump up against these limitations is hard on the ego. It's hard on the ego.
Right.
So you, unfortunately, are constantly sanding down the irrational overconfidence of everyone around you. Now, if they were wise, they'd say, well, that's actually probably pretty good before I went and embarrassed myself, like good, like, okay, that's fine. But because they're average, they just resent you. And it's natural that they're going to resent you just as you resent them, but it's just a game. Just elbow your way in. They're going to be annoyed. They're going to be annoying. They're annoyed by you. You are annoying to them because they don't have your abilities and they haven't been told enough about the bell curve. Like, I don't resent. It's not like Billy Joel stole my singing voice. He's just born with a great singing voice.
Right.
He's like, I don't resent him for it. I mean, when I was younger, I'd be like, wow, I really wish I could sing like that, those bastards or whatever, right? But I mean, the world needed a philosopher no more than it needed a singer. So I think it all worked out pretty well. And singers often don't have great speaking voices because they're kind of Michael Jackson softy, and I need a good speaking voice for what it is that I do. It's better for that. But because have you ever heard this? Oh, you think you're just too good for us?
Oh, yeah, of course. Right. Yeah.
Now, they wouldn't say to a guy who's 6'8", oh, you think you're just too tall for us.
Right, because they're physical markers. You can't really see smart.
And there are physical markers.
Unless you see it.
Yeah, but there are physical markers for intelligence, right? The ability to get A's, right? So it's like, no, I don't think I'm too good for you. I kind of am. I don't think I'm too tall for you. Yeah. I kind of am. And I don't even know what too tall for us means, I mean, what does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know. It's like that guy, there's a guy who's got a card. He's a tall guy, he's got a card. He just keeps him on him. And anytime people start small talking with him, he just hands them the card. And on the card, it says 3 things. Number 1, 6'8". Number 2, yes, the weather is fine up here. Number 3, no, I don't play basketball. That's because that's saves him a lot of time, right?
Right.
So you're smart, and the normies didn't like it, and it's perfectly natural that they didn't like it. It's not their fault. If people had told them more about the bell curve and the genetics of intelligence, they'd be like, yeah, he's a tall guy. He's naturally lean. He's got great hair. I mean, it's just genetics, right?
Yeah, right. I wish one of those applied to me.
Well, the smart thing is the best.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And would you trade?
No. At this point in life, no. No. Earlier in my childhood, for a second, sure. Without even thinking for a second. Right.
No, I mean, I did have I was lucky as far as this combo went that I was smart, but also a very good-looking kid. And not as a kid, really, but definitely in my teenage years as a good-looking young specimen. Good slice of man meat. So that helped a little bit, but that also gave me the goal of abandoning my intellect in pursuit of women, which was actually kind of fun. But anyway, so your question is intelligence something that's pushed society out of the muck? Why does it feel like a curse more than a gift? Because you're looking at yourself through the eyes of others, which is always a very dangerous thing to do. Very dangerous. It's good to have a third eye, to know how you're perceived by others, but you don't ever want to judge yourself by the judgment of others. Because to the average, it does feel like a curse for there to be somebody really smart around, because then they know actually where they are in the bell curve.
Right.
And everyone's a genius in their own mind. You get it, right?
Yeah, right, of course.
So that's just their view of you, but you got to have your own view of you, which is it's great to be the exception, but the price of being the exception is trying to fit yourself into a society that's designed for the norm.
Right.
So you're 6'8" and nothing seems to fit, and the doorways are all too short, and the airplane seats are too small. Well, what are you going to do? You can't shrink. You can't become shorter. And then, when you sit down in your airplane seat, people are like, oh, great, a tall guy. Now his legs are going to spread and I'm going to get this cave in of like basketball knee coming into me. But it's a dance. It's a dance. It's a game. It's a sport. Who changes who? And if you can look at it that way, it takes some of the resentment out of it. Like, okay, look, I mean, school did not fit me and it was boring as hell and stupid and useless and so on.
Yep.
But I'm running the world's biggest and best philosophy show. School should not have been designed for me.
No.
You understand? Like, if I'm that rare an intellect, why on earth would you want to design? That's like designing every seat on every airplane for people who are 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
That would be the wrong decision. And are you going to go teach public school, Kevin?
Oh, yeah, right. That's no.
Why not, you selfish bastard?
Right. Help the youth.
Go help the young little Kevins out there who need your guidance.
Yeah, right.
No, in general, it's the idiots who end up becoming teachers, statistically speaking. And I'm not making that up. It's the people at the bottom of the SATs who end up becoming teachers. The average IQ of teachers is one of the lowest of any profession outside of outright lampposts. Right? Why? Right. Because why would you want to waste your brilliance trying to teach average kids? And why would, especially if you think for yourself, why the hell would you want to end up teaching children? So you can tell them the truth, they can go home to their parents, and their parents will then get you fired.
Yeah.
Teacher Kevin, is there such a thing as God?
Oh boy. That's going to be a fun session.
Yeah, I had one of those questions when I was hanging out with my daughter.
Oh my, yeah.
What are you going to do? Well, Ahmed, let me tell you something. Actually, I got quite a lot to tell you. Mohammed, quite a lot to tell you. And it's going to give you some very exciting conversations with your parents tonight. And then you get to go to the mosque and spread your wisdom. You're going to have so much fun.
Yeah, please don't share the name, though.
That's right. I can tell you, but it has to be anonymous. Why? Yeah. You're going to tell the truth to kids?
No.
I just mean that allegorically. You understand? Or do I? No, but I mean, you can. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? Why?
Right, I mean,
why do I have to come to school? Oh, because your parents will be thrown in jail if they don't come. But make sure you don't use any violence to get what you want, kids.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
especially in
logical.
Germany. I mean, there were homeschoolers trying to get refugee status in other countries, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember. It was a big thing a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
But thank God, at least when I went to school, the whole refugee stuff wasn't happening. So I at least got safe from those problems. When I go talk to
It's
people
much worse
nowadays,
now.
oh
My God. I mean, there are lots of schools in Germany where there are like two little blonde kids in a sea of migrants kids. And
did you hear about the story where these 11-year-old kids actually raped another 11-year-old boy?
Sure.
My God.
Yeah. And just imagine how much is going on that gets suppressed. It isn't even.
Yeah, right. Just imagine what happens behind covers. Fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a curse for you, but it can be a curse for others. And that's natural. It's natural.
Well, it sure didn't feel like that, but I totally get where you're coming from. It's what you said so far has given me a lot to think about when it comes to perspective. But
don't hate the average. It's uncharitable.
Yeah, of course.
It's not their fault. You didn't earn being smart. I didn't earn being smart. I didn't earn charisma.
Yeah.
I didn't earn a sense of humor. I mean, I work at some of these things and blah, 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 but it just kind of happened. Just the way things happened. I was listening to one of my early shows for something the other day, and I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, even all the way back. Yeah. This wasn't like the first Queen album. Well, that's just pretty good. So don't hate the average. It's not their fault. And it's not their fault that they dislike the exceptions to the norm. And it's all natural. It's all kind of inevitable. But don't become a determinist because of it. I mean, they still don't get to run everything, because if the norms get to run everything all the time, we'd never even have moved into caves. I'm fine under this tree. Yeah. It was good enough for my daddy, and it's good enough for me. Listen, Muhammad.
Yeah, the 12 generations in 100 years. That sounded like a fun plan.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have to accommodate the average because, well, there's a lot of them. But they have to work to accommodate us, and if they don't like it, I'm sorry, it's just fuck them. I mean, we can't just not have any progress in society because the normies get upset.
Yeah, right.
So, just, they're going to make their noises, and they're going to make their complaints, and they're going to do their normie outrage, and then they're going to say, wow, it is great that we've got all these advancements in society.
Right. Yeah, I like this phone.
Yeah!
But I hate the guy who made it.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Vestiges of free speech is really cool. Prop 13.
Yeah. We lost that. Feels bad, man.
Well, Article 13. Well, I'll do a whole other bit on that at some point. Too. But listen, all it's going to mean is that the memes go to the ground, right? The memes go underground. And the dark web is going to expand, and all it means is that now people can't keep track of what's going on, and that's going to end up, I think, with people having more freedom in a way. So,
well, yeah, I mean, the people who try to escape from the watching eye, I guess, but yeah, the public will be fucked for a while, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's a pretty clear relationship between the EU and the rest of Europe, and it's certainly going to wake the hell up out of the younger generation, and that's where the future is.
Yeah, exactly. I definitely agree. Yeah. I think it's rattled some heads, this one.
Does that help as a way of looking at it?
Oh, yeah, it does, for sure. Thank you for the insight. I mean, it's hard to disagree when you lay it out like that, because it makes total sense.
Good. Well, listen, I appreciate the call. Let me know how it goes, and I'll move on to the next caller now.
Yeah, thanks for the time, man.
You're welcome, man. Anytime.